Cool. Well, roundtable discussion time. Been looking forward to this. So I'm Jonny from our Newcastle location, and it's good to be sat here with all of you. Should we do quick intros so we kind of know what we're doing?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm Jerry from North London, and part of the North London location and church.
Awesome.
I'm Katie, also part of Newcastle.
Hi, Katie.
Travel down with you, Jonny.
We weren't on the train this morning together.
And I'm Paulie from the Newcastle campus as well.
Yeah,
Married to Katie.
I was going to say that's probably worth noting.
My wife.
Amazing.
I'm Vicky. I'm from Dominion. I'm part of the youth. And that's it.
Represent.
Come on.
Cool. Let's get into it. So, first question. Sin. It's one of those words that's like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about the word sin? Like, what goes on in your heart? Like, what's like, someone says, let's talk about sin. Like, where does that send you in your head?
Yeah.
Well done for tipping the ball first.
I think for me, sin is, we can often hear it as something like it's Slimming World, where you have a bit of naughty food. It's classed as a sin, just something small that's a bit like naughty. But actually, being a Christian, knowing that it's actually just this giant block between me and God, this thing that is broken relationship, and then knowing the grace of Jesus that has made a way. That's my start out.
I always go with like what level of sin are you referring to? Kind of my sin or my wife's sin, which is like stealing a pen from Argos, and there's things like
things she would have done.
Yeah.
probably and then other things that you may have done in your life. It's like I kind of would throw that straight back. What do you mean by sin? And like, what's your interpretation of sin? Because mine's going to be very different to everyone else's.
That's good.
So
And I think probably just to like break the ice as well, let's just assume that we have all sinned. like if you're at this table, it's because like we've definitely got things wrong. We've not done life perfectly. Not looking at anyone in particular. Just kidding. But we're all in the same boat, and that's one of the things about sin is that, so I think it's in the book of Romans, it says that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So like we're all in the same boat with it. Yeah. So we're kind of like, do you know what I mean? No one's sort of coming into this like as a perfect person who hasn't made mistakes. So like let's assume that that's just like the baseline. But that's a good question. How would you define sin? What even is it? Like what would you say to that, Joe?
Yeah, definitely, I suppose, growing up in a certain culture, it was definitely categorized, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing, and I feel like as a sinner, like there was no get out clause. You know, sometimes the message of God pulling you out and taking you to a better place, sometimes that wasn't preached enough. So it was always, and more than likely it was, I suppose if you were having sex, but you didn't get pregnant, then you were fine. But the evidence was that you were pregnant.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So then once that person gets pregnant, this is just one of many, then you're a sinner because there's evidence.
Right. So as long as you're getting away with it.
So as long as you're getting away with it, you ain't a sinner.
Right.
Do you know? And you can have the biggest Bible and you can have all of that good stuff happening to you. But if there's no evidence, then you're not a sinner. Do you know? So I think now, growing up and understanding, hold on, no fault, you know, so no guilt trip, no blame, but just understanding in my own journey now, I realise I was born into this, you know? So I'm just having the courage now, as an older person, to believe that I'm okay. But I'm a sinner, you know? So salvation is Him providing something that allows me now to walk away, you know, mentally, just walk away in my mind from the things that the liar is trying to tell me on a daily basis. But yeah, like, you know, I'm getting better. Not, some days are better than others,
Yep.
but most of the time it's all right, I know we're on a Christian table and stuff.
Well, this is the point, I think, of this isn't like to just come up with like our best one-liners or to kind of just give the best Christian answer, present your best self, like, filtered Instagram pictures. This is just like let's wrestle with it. And you know what? We might disagree on some stuff and we might sort of have different perspectives, but like this is, I suppose, for people who are watching this, hopefully they feel like they could just slot right into the conversation or carry on the conversation with their friends and family. And so it's just got to be like, let's be real. So thanks for being real. Vicky was just, coming back to what Paulie said.
Yes.
How would you sort of define sin if someone, you were like, just hanging out with a friend who doesn't come to church or whatever, and they're like, oh, so what is sin? Like, what would you sort of say?
Well, I would just say that it's just something that I feel inside that is wrong, like something that I've done that is bad to what God says that we shouldn't do. So like, I'd also say that is also in the 10 Commandments, it instructs us to do certain things. And if we do not do those certain things, we're doing something wrong. So it's like going against those 10 Commandments.
One of the things that I heard once was like, so like you take a jar of water, for example, and let's say, I don't know if this is, but let's say it's like 100% pure water. If you put like a speck of dirt in it, it's not like 99% pure water, it's just impure. So it's like one or the other, and there's no kind of like levels. And so like, we live in a world that is very subjective, right? And particularly this day and age, it's like, it's kind of a world of your truth is your truth. And, but the Bible seems to have an objective view of truth. Well, if anything, Jesus is the truth. And so there are some things that some people would go, that's sin, and others might go, no, it's not. So like, how do you speak into stuff in a world where you might view something as sin and someone else might not, or you might think something's a really big sin, or they might think it's not great, but it's not the worst thing I could be doing. How do you sort of pit that against this biblical view that like, it's either sin or it's not?
I used to justify the level of sin with how I could, my level of sin, I used to work out on how I could justify it.
Right.
It's, again, not exactly biblical, but like in our car, you've got a nice big display on the speed. So my son would be like, why does it say 50 and you're doing more than 50? And 51. And I'll be like, oh, it's okay, I'm on the motorway, there's no one around. I'm justifying that there's unlikely you're going to have an accident, even though you're still changing it. So you justify the level of sin based. It's like, you. What's the right way of saying it there? Yeah. You can show the level of sin by how you justify it. Right. And I lived that for quite a while, based on, well, this doesn't hurt other people. It's just my sin. Like if I'm having a drink, I'm getting drunk. That's only really affecting me. But then it's the road you're now on. Yeah. When you are in that state, the other influences and other options, and what then leads you down. So the sin is a spiral that can continue. And if you're drunk, you see a lady and you're like, and then you're off down that tangent, and then the sin progresses, sin moves forward. So it's about the thin end of the wedge of staying away from the options of greater sins. And then it goes back to, actually, well, they're all sins. So why do we then justify or put a level to it? Yeah. You go, actually, let's just stay here, have fun, have a drink. Katie and I will like a glass of wine. Great. It's what you do with it, how far you go with it. Should keep you in that place.
It just reminds us of that story that we talk about quite often, of this lady she lives at the top of a mountain, and
that's my story.
Yeah, she lives at the top of a mountain, and she wants a driver who will drive her up this windy road around the mountain as safely as possible. And so she interviews these 3 men, and she's like, how are you gonna can you drive me up to my house at the top of the mountain? And the first one says, yeah. And she said, how safely can you do it? And he's like, I can drive 2 meters away from the edge of the road, and I'll still get you home safely. The next one's like, I can stay 1 meter away from the edge of the cliff, and I'll still get you to the house safely. And the third guy says, I will drive as far away from the edge of the cliff to get you home safely. And I always kind of see like sin as that cliff edge. And actually, I've met Jesus. I don't want to sin. I don't want to have sin in my life. And so I'm like, I'm going to stay as far away from the edge of that road. I'm going to stay as close to you, Jesus. I'm going to walk as tight a walk as I can. And I know I'm going to slip up and I can rely on your grace to catch us. But me will, when I wake up in the morning, my desire on the morning is to please your heart, Jesus. So I'm just going to stay as far away from that. You know, like that. There's temptation around us all of the time. Like simple one is, you know, you like the look of somebody on Instagram, so, it's really tempting to comment or to like their picture, and that could take you down such a slippery road as a married woman. So it's like, I'm not even gonna entertain that. I'm not even, you know, gonna go there. I used to go clubbing when I was younger, and I liked attention from the men. I liked to have a drink with my friends, but I'm like, that's not the life that I want to live anymore. So I'm not even going to entertain going there. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not going to go near that. Just staying as close to Jesus and as far from the temptation as you can.